Kat, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Very good. Excited for this bright and early final between the two best teams of the week.
Definitely a bright and early final for these guys. Team Kendall Thompson played last night in the semifinal at 7 o'clock, but just keep it rolling. I think they went home. I don't think they slept here, but
I'm sure they were pleased and celebrating a little bit, but would have gone home to be rested. And we'll see two pretty well-rested teams here, although Jamie Murphy, by virtue of winning the round robin with a 6-1 record, had the whole day off yesterday, so he will be very rested and ready to go.
yeah, and by virtue of that win, they did have a practice yesterday on the ice just to stay fresh and, not to put them at any disadvantage. But like you said, practice isn't as taxing as a 10-end game.
Of course. Important for them to stay fresh, though. You put your feet up, you can lose the role you're on. Kendall had to play yesterday, had to fight it out. Might not have made the final, but they came out really, really well against Chad Stevens last night. And so they're just riding high. They've won their last 6 straight games, and they're ready for this.
And this one looks like it's curling, Paul. Ooh.
Yeah, so sort of gentle start. First rock went in. It was Michael Brophy threw it in there. Final, last day, the ice could be a little bit different. The nerves are definitely there. Take it easy. Maybe have an easy end and hit it out. So they're just coming in. Then Phil Crowell with the hit. Just got enough of the rock, but rolled out his shooter, and so Michael will bring another one in there.
And going back to what you said on nerves, Team Murphy has been in the final a few times before. Definitely somewhere they're comfortable, but I don't think you ever get used to that feeling of a provincial final. You may enjoy it, that's what you play for all year, but not necessarily. I don't think the nerves quite go away.
Well, you have to prepare for these by being in them. It is a different feeling from all the other games this week. Everything is on the line here. You're so close, you can just taste it, but you have to not think about that, and you have to sit there and just focus as everything you've got on the one shot that you're doing, which is difficult. But
difficult with more fans, at the curling club on the ice cheering, the trophy close by on the ice so people can see. I don't know if our viewers at home can see, but it is on sheet A.
Yeah, that's always mean. They bring the trophy out for the final. It's right beside you. And it's this exercise all the way through the game to not look at it.
Horse blinders. You need the horse blinders. Let's stay on sheet C.
Yeah. Keep your eyes down. So Phil making that second hit, and Chris McRae now, second for Team Kendall. Also got the nose. This really does give you a good opportunity to just get a feel for the ice again. Make sure it's all the same, and make a couple of easy shots in the first end.
Yeah, get comfortable, get used to the ice again, like you said before. The ice can change a tiny bit as we get to the end of the week. The change in weather outside as well, depending on what the weather's doing, the ice can be impacted by that. So I always like an open first end. I know some people feel differently, but especially in a 10-end game, let's save some time, get comfortable, and I think we'll see some pretty aggressive play coming up soon.
Certainly some sheets of ice, it's not good yet in the first end. It might still be a little bit slow. That's not really happening here. The ice has been pretty good from the start for these games. It gets a little bit slower as the game goes on, so you don't want to wait too long because your better surface is happening in the beginning of these games here. So I think we'll see them get a little bit more aggressive after that once everybody's got their feet. These two teams met in the round robin, and it was Team Thompson who won. They handed Murphy his only loss of the week in a very good game. We were looking over.
Yeah, I was doing the commentary on I think they were on sheet B and I was on sheet C, and I had a hard time not watching because it was so great. They were making shots that you'd look and say, oh, okay, I don't think that's there, and then Kendall would whip one out or Jamie would whip one out. And so really it came down to the 10th end. It was intense, but But really, kind of that is the little leg up there for Kendall Thompson today. Every game is a new game and a new opportunity, but if I'm Kendall Thompson, I haven't been in a Tankard final in a long time anyway, but you know, this is a big game for them. That's the little piece of comfort I'm holding in my back pocket today if I'm Kendall and team.
Yeah, and of course for Team Murphy, they've been in this position before. They've won this game before. Huge advantage to just settle back and let your experience take you. But this Kendall Thompson team is hungry. They've worked very hard all year. They're playing very well this week, and they're going to be fighting.
And Bryce Everest here, Kendall's third. Bryce is actually also the Nova Scotia mixed doubles provincial champion this year with his fiancée Carly Jones.
That's right. That happened right after Christmas at the Mayflower Curling Club. And it was I played it myself. I played them. They really know that game.
Yes, they definitely do.
I think that's the three-peat for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, very, very good curler and working hard. So the rock sort of made its way higher and higher in the house with those successive nose hits, and so Bryce there really didn't want to keep his shooter in front because it's a guard at that point, which Jamie will go around. So they peeled it out of there, and this does give Paul the opportunity for a free draw. And that's always a nice thing in these open ends. From time to time, someone will roll out, and the other team will get a free draw. And that's another very comforting thing in the first end. You get that chance without maybe all the pressure of a make-or-break shot to just lock in your draw weight, make sure you still know it, make sure it's still the same, and make sure your legs aren't pushing harder because it's a final.
Exactly. Then you can adjust. If that draw isn't perfect, you then know, okay, I need to give a little more, take a little off. And so, like you said, that is a great opportunity. But Kendall, you know, Paul made the nice draw, so Kendall's going to just keep it open.
Yeah. Picking up a little bit of curl.
Kendall's wife just gave a big cheer in the stands there for those who could hear. That was Brittany.
Yeah, all the friends and family are here for both of these teams, out cheering in the stands and probably trying not to think too much about
about
what's
the
going
outcome.
through their loved ones' heads.
And I see family members. It seems like family members have each chosen a bench. It seems like Murphy's team or family are on the bench closest to the home end, and Team Thompson's on the other one. So fair enough. I'm sure they'll play nicely, but fair enough.
Yeah. So here Jamie's got another draw going down, and he's elected to go to the other side, probably just to give Kendall a different shot to look at. You know, you never like to give the other guy the same shot twice if you can help it. But Murphy also gets to see a second path in the ice, make sure the speed's good there, and they'll need those two shots when they start playing corner guards. Probably in the next end.
It'll be interesting to see when they decide to make that move. When do we get a little more aggressive? But I think you're right. I think we'll see that next end, and like we said, this is a big game.
I've played teams in important games who, with that hammer, would never make a move. You know, they're perfectly happy to go, you know, tied with the hammer, nothing, and number 10. So you may see Kendall actually make the move first here with the beginning of the next end.
That would just be boring. It might be safe, but that's a lot of boring.
Think of the fans.
Yeah, come on. What do we talk about for 10 ends if it's that open? Start timing hit weight and give you hit weights. That's all we'll have.
Both of these teams are very comfortable with lots of rocks in play. We will have rocks in play in this game for sure. All right, so Kendall with the nose hit, and now Jamie's going to try for the blank shot here. And instantly picked up by Scott. That might be an abundance of caution. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. And And a nice shot from Jamie.
Very nice.
Both teams looking really comfortable.
Very comfortable. Yep. And not giving anything away to each other either.
No. These teams would play each other a lot throughout kind of regular season or throughout spieling season, and that's they do the hellos and the pleasantries, I guess you could say. But now it's not that you're not nice, but you're just not giving anything away.
Yeah, they're club mates too.
Yes, both from the Halifax Curling Club.
Yeah, but they're very much opponents today. And here, Kendall has asked Michael to put a guard short of the rings.
So here we go.
Yeah, it's on. You'll notice they've switched there. The sweeper's coming in, put Bryce close. They're trying to get a little bit more curl while still trying to get more depth. They want to get it right on the center line so that the rocks they put behind it will be as good as possible.
Now, Paul, did you see any of the junior curling on TSN last night?
That I missed. I was tuned in here.
Yeah, that's fair. So Chad Stevens, who was in the semifinal last night against Kendall Thompson, his daughter Taylor Stevens and Team Nova Scotia were in the semifinal of the Canadian juniors last night, and it went to an extra end, and unfortunately they came out on the wrong side, but so much fun watching them and their coach Mary Matatal, who we all know very well here. So I don't think they're listening because they're in BC, but girls, we're proud of you, and you represented Nova Scotia very well.
Yeah, and what a fantastic run. I did catch a couple of their games through the week, and they were just playing so well. And it's so great to see that out of a Nova Scotia team.
Definitely, and on the men's side, they made the championship pool, which is great, and another great team. And for Chad yesterday, he had a long day and a lot of curling, but I'm sure when he got off the ice last night, he ran to check to see how Taylor was doing. So I was thinking of him last night watching her, and he was still on the ice. That would be a bit of a challenge.
I don't know when the game started, but if he was playing while it was on
he
there,
was.
I bet people were signaling it through the glass or something.
Yeah. Chad's game went on at 7, and Taylor's game went on at 8.
Yeah,
so there's just a little, he would have caught the end, but a little overlap.
All right, so back in our action here, Phil Crosslip just a little bit deep behind the tee line, but underneath the guard. And so Team Thompson trying the freeze there, come up a little bit heavy, bumped it behind the guard, but left the rock open. So Phil's going to probably see if he can get under this.
Looks like it's running a little straight, but trying to get Scott to sweep to make it curl.
It's Paul sweeping there.
Oh, sorry, Paul sweeping.
This could be trouble. He wants to avoid the jam at the back. Ooh. Jams it, but rolls it off. Kind of a nice outcome because he split the blue rocks even further apart. There's no double on those. But they are behind the tee line, so they're not.
And Kendall really here calling to bring those rocks closer together. So let's get rid of this blue. Let's roll ours over and get it closer, just to eliminate or reduce the separation, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he's called peel weight. He might think he can get that double, and maybe he can. Chris throws it quite hard. But even if you just roll over beside it, you're getting the play back to the middle. You're probably going to end up behind the corner, that center guard. A little bit of late sweep from Bryce for curl. Rolling it over. That's
and
a very
nice
nice
shot.
shot. Yeah.
Great shot from Chris McRae. And so now that I have Scott correct, we've got Scott in the hat. And just soft weight, trying to get this yellow out of there. The only danger here, Paul, is it is all behind the tee line. And that is kind of, for Murphy, it's great for Team Thompson, but definitely Murphy is aware of that, but want to be careful here.
Yeah, I mean, you've got your two right now. You've got two blue rocks in the rings, but it's fleeting. there's a guard up there.
Yep.
There's a rock behind the tee line. At some point, Team Thompson can just come down to the right spot and take it all away from you. But for Kendall, he's got to be careful, because if he ignores a lot of rocks here, one mistake could give up a 3 or 4, and that is a huge deal in a final like this. So rather than come down and draw to that, which he could certainly do, he's asked Chris to take it out, roll over close to the other blue. He wants to take this safe. It's hanging a bit.
Yeah, it looks like they may be.
Very close. I don't think he was calling the double. I think that was a late call there. I think he was trying to roll in front of it, but just ran a little bit straight on them and made that split decision at the end. Still got the blue rock moving, the second one, but didn't get it out.
And our angles are a little different from behind the glass where we're sitting, but it does, fairly open shot here for Scott, but needs to avoid that jam at the back. Really, Murphy wants to be sitting 2 at the end of this shot.
Yeah, and this one is also hanging out on him. Paul's sweeping a bit there to make it curl.
Oh, and he
Just.
does.
You wonder, that's quite a few rocks that have run straight on them over on that side.
We'll have to watch that.
Yeah, it might not be curling quite as much there.
But a double opportunity here for Team Thompson.
Yeah, Bryce can get these 2 rocks out. Things get pretty safe for Kendall.
Chris hard on the sweep.
Well, that one's not running straight.
No, I think a little less weight.
Yeah.
You really want to get both of those. Oh, and just misses the back one, but great shot nonetheless.
Yeah. Team Murphy's done a nice job here. I mean, there was a good option to get that out, to get both of those out. But Murphy is doing a very nice job here of moving those blue rocks around to try and keep the double as difficult as possible. He's going to roll away if he can here.
And there's some separation back, so I think we'll see Kendall try to bring those rocks back closer together or hide one under that guard.
Well, you roll right under the guard, it's pretty good. I don't know if he's got enough room to make the double. The yellow guard looks like it might be in the way. Very easy weight there from Bryce.
And Chris really looking to make it curl here.
Wow.
And that seemed to run straight. We don't have the line of delivery, so I can't comment on, where Bryce let it go, but Bryce has a confused look in his face as well, so I think it may have run fairly straight.
Yeah, he certainly didn't have a lot of ice, and yet ended up quite far outside. Very unlucky they didn't get that out. It almost did. The one saving grace is they're so close together that Kendall can get them out pretty easily. But now Paul has an opportunity to go around the guard, and they're going to sit 3 here early in the game.
And we'll see what the outcome is. Early, you give up a 3, not ideal. Not what you're necessarily hoping to do, but not the end of the world in the second end either.
No. And they haven't given it up yet either.
Nope.
It's just that you're playing against it now, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't there before, and it is now. So Paul's coming in. Very important to keep this above the tee line. That's why they're hesitating to sweep that a little to get it behind the guard. But
Great
nice shot from Paul.
Did you see the call there?
Yeah, he called the freeze.
Okay.
He's going to freeze right to the nose. That'll take the 2 back 12 rocks out of play. This really is the riskier option. You could go over to those back 12 rocks, half a rock on the outside, and they'd both go very easily. But then Jamie puts another one around the guard, and you could still give up 3 there. This shot, if you make it, gets you back into forcing or maybe a 2 sort of territory. And if you miss it, you could be in deep trouble.
And it does show a sign of confidence for Kendall to call the shot. You know, we don't want to give up more than 2 here, so this is what we're...
Absolutely. And he's saying, look, I can make a better shot than those ones back there.
They've got to sweep this one hard to get it to outcount the back, and I don't know if they did.
Maybe. They swept it all the way. It was light right from the start. The line is excellent, so just a little bit more weight over there. That's the first draw Kendall has thrown this game, and it's not maybe the circumstances you wanted to. Of course, both teams have a 9-minute practice ahead of the game, and they'll each mostly throw draws during that practice. So not cold by any stretch. But the coming up short, even if it is out counting those back blue, gives Jamie the opportunity to come around what's now, for him, 2 guards.
And the big thing here is not setting something up to make Kendall's shot easier for Jamie. So, you know, you really want to tuck a piece of this, hide it from Kendall so that Kendall has a harder shot on his last. And
yeah, as long as he's second shot, that's deep enough. If he was ever heavy, he could give Kendall something to play with. But this looks pretty perfect.
Looks like a great shot. Fans are happy. Sweepers are happy. And Bryce taking a look at those back rocks. But doesn't seem to faze Kendall.
Yeah, I mean, he's still drawing. There isn't much else, to be fair, but he's just gonna try and tuck around those 2 rocks in the top 4 foot. Maybe sit shot, maybe sit second shot. It doesn't really matter. He's trying to avoid a very big end here. And if he can get the line right, he can probably set it up so that it would jam on those back 2 blue if Jamie was to hit it. But he's got to be really precise with where he places this. Big sweep again.
Sweepers are going hard.
Yeah. Oh my God.
The line looks good. What a great sweep. And that's there for second shot.
I think it is. Yep.
Great sweep.
It's just
and
out
great
counting
shot.
that blue. What a great shot. What a great sweep.
I would like them sweeping my rocks too.
I don't know if we've got it in the shot, but Chris McRae's out at the hog line looking beat right in the face. A satisfied feeling. That's what you want to feel as a sweeper. But
we need to give Chris some water. Here,
yeah.
Chris, have my water. It's okay.
Yeah, they didn't bring in the Timmies.
Well, great work from those 2 brushers. And still, I mean, you know, for Jamie Murphy, he's got a chance for 2 here. He can come down and bump the rock he just threw. Probably only got to move up another inch or so, and he'll sit 2 there. 2 is a good outcome.
2 is a very good outcome.
Know, they went into this end looking for 2, and that's what they're going to get, likely here.
And on the other side, if you're Kendall Thompson and team, you're happy you're giving up 2. You're happy it's just the 2.
Yeah.
You're saying after the way some of the things played out here, you're thinking, I'm okay with the 2.
Yeah, 2 or 3 shots ago, it was not looking like 2. It was looking like 3 or 4. So, I mean, if that rock, if Kendall hadn't thrown that rock, you don't get to do that, of course, but Jamie would have been able to pick out the top yellow and get 4. They've got a bit of curling for this. Phil's on the corner trying to make it turn. Scott's giving a little help for weight. He didn't quite get up to the nose.
From our angle, Paul, it looks like it's just one to me.
Yeah.
Paul will take a good look and always take a good look.
Yeah.
It can't hurt.
Anything close, you're gonna measure. But the way that Team Murphy is in there looking and looking and looking, and Team Kendall's standing back, that usually means that Murphy is not closer.
And Paul was looking at it and then tapped the yellow, so it is just the one for Jamie Murphy.
Well, Team Thompson playing their get out of jail free card there. That was a very well played shot by Kendall. Pressure was on him, and he rose to it magnificently. So, good job.
Paul, how many get out of jail free cards do you get in a game?
Well, there's 2 in Monopoly.
Okay. Did we bring them? Does each team get 2 from the officials?
No, that's up to the curling gods when you're playing these games. Sometimes there's a lot, and sometimes there aren't any.
None.
But, yeah, take that and move on. For Kendall, they're very happy with that, but they've still got to generate their own offense. They really didn't get anything going that last end, and if he's just kind of escaping a few times, that's not going to be enough.
And great confidence shown by Kendall there to say, I'm going to throw the straw, I'm going to cut them down.
Yeah. Now, that's not strictly what he called. It was a little light, so they went to the top of it. He was hoping to tuck around that blue rock. So, very good job from the sweepers and from Bryce in the house to make that adjustment. But you have to be careful.
And so Kendall calling the hit here. Murphy came in, top 8, top 4-ish, and Kendall called on Michael Brophy to play the open hit.
Yeah, I think he wanted to roll out of the 4-foot. He might have been thinking about a late corner. But they might also just want to waste the third end here and get the hammer in fourth. Some teams place a really high value on scoring in the even ends, which is certainly very important late in the game, but not always. It probably doesn't matter that much in 4. Maybe there's an advantage. Maybe it's less than 5%. You can do that by sneezing at the wrong time.
And now that rock's a little bit higher, Kendall calling on the corner guard from Michael Brophy.
Yeah. And this we do see more now that we have the 5-rock rule. Neither of Michael's rocks can be hit right away. So that rock will stay there for at least 1 throwing cycle. And the best way to do it usually is, you roll from the 4-foot out to the side. You throw the corner on the other side so that there's nothing in the middle. And then the team without the hammer is really no chance to steal at that point. And you can play a nice, safe corner for the whole game. For the whole end, rather.
And Sweeper's just walking this one in. Oh.
Except for the curl they want at the very end.
There you go.
Yeah. The rock's not very good. It's very unlikely to score. But it could be enough to force later in the end. And so Team Murphy calling the guard on that. They just want to keep the play in the middle more than anything else. Play gets in the middle. The rocks all go into the 4-foot. It gets hard to fit 2 of your rocks in there to score the multiple end that Team Thompson's trying to do here.
Yeah, he's making them work for it, that's for sure.
Definitely. He is actually able to play the run back or peel these out, but this early in the end, if you got both of those, you probably leave the 2 yellows close together. Team Murphy would, Scott would probably double those off, and then the end's over. So Kendall's going to stay aggressive a little bit longer here and get Chris to come in and freeze to that top blue stone. He's just trying to get another yellow rock in that's hard to remove.
Sweeping for line here. It looks like it's curling quite a bit on that top, close to the top blue.
Goes going full out,
Oh.
gets it by.
What do I know?
No,
What do I know with angles today?
you were right. They swept that a lot, and it didn't get by much, but they did get it by. And just bumping the blue rock up a bit. Would have liked to leave that frozen, so just a little bit heavy, but still good shot. Probably jams on the blue unless you're very, very close to the guard coming by. But Team Murphy is shot. They don't need to make a play on that yellow, and so they're just going to freeze down to it.
A lot of discussion on this one, but good discussion to have. Really, let's set the end up properly. Let's talk about it now, not when it's too late.
Well, and the thing you'd really like to do is hit that yellow rock out of there and roll behind the blues if you have enough space. Kendall would like to hit the yellow into the blue, of course. And if I'm Team Murphy, one of my rules is I don't like to play the other team's shot.
Yes, that's a good rule.
You run the risk of making it for them sometimes, and this is much safer. You get across the face, you can control where that yellow will go for the rest of the game, rest of the end.
A little bit of extra weight compared to what I think they were calling, but a good shot from Scott.
That's not bad. Bump the yellow up a bit. It is still Team Murphy sitting shot in the top 8 foot. And Bryce is now down to have a look and help Kendall with the decision, but Kendall's pointing up at those higher center guards there. I don't think he wants those around for too long.
No.
They're in his way if he has to draw to the 4 foot at the end of this. So I think he's looking to hit the blue rock back and maybe take the shot stone off on the way by. What he'd really like to do is hold his shooter if at all possible. We're waiting on it to curl.
Great shot from Chris. Would have liked to get that other blue out, but still a great shot.
Yeah, still good. Didn't hold his shooter either. I don't think you could with that weight. They probably had just accepted that that was going to happen. But with that blue over there and the guards out front, there's a very low chance of seeing a blank later on. So it's going to be full offense from Kendall to try and get 2 points instead of 1.
And hard on the sweep early, trying to keep this away from the center guard, but I think some of that early sweeping really is holding it out there.
Yeah, definitely. And the last little bit of curl towards center seems to really take its time on this surface. It's called a high center sometimes. It still curls over the center line, of course, but it just takes that tiny pause right before the center line, and so you have to watch for that.
And sweepers have to be ready. When your
Certainly.
skip or third are yelling at you to sweep, you better be ready to sweep.
Well, and the moment it gets to and across it, it will go fairly hard down
Right.
the other side. So you need to be ready for that.
We were commenting on that in the juniors last night on TSN, watching the skip yelling to keep it straight, make it curl, keep it straight, make it curl, and the sweepers really were very attentive to that and ready and kind of knew this could go either way, so I have to be ready, and I mean, shows great focus.
Yeah. So Paul had rolled open there to the side, and Bryce was looking to roll back in under the guards, but just ran a little bit straight for him and got the nose hit. So they're working their way up the house. Paul would still like to roll under here.
A nice controlled hit weight to try to get that roll.
Yeah, fills on off all the way down.
And just pokes out the other side. That is, with that shot, he could have rolled behind either guard, but just rolls open. So chance here for Kendall to try to get one behind cover there and generate a multiple point end here.
And so he's just kind of having a discussion with Bryce. You know, you can do that with the hit and roll. That might even make the blank, put the blank back in play later. But the easiest way to put a rock behind that guard, if that's where you want a rock, is to draw it there. So I've elected to play the hit and roll. You can make it all.
Looks like it's running fairly straight, but sweepers are close.
Made a late change to the call there. They weren't going to get the roll. You don't want to roll part way because it just makes the roll easier for Jamie to get under it. So instead, rolling away from the guard, making Jamie's roll more difficult. This might put the blank back into play.
A fairly open hit here, but a little bit trickier than normal.
The blue rock's in his eye on his left, right? So he needs to make sure he doesn't wreck on that. I mean, that'd be a disaster. But then if he hits too little of the yellow, he'll roll out the back as well.
And open the blank. So although Team Thompson's shot wasn't the roll behind the guard that they were looking for, still a good roll.
Yeah. Instantly picked up by Phil. Paul wants to make sure this doesn't go anywhere near the blue.
Phil's really working on this one.
Oh.
And that's just what we were talking about there, Paul, is that's the risk that's present with the way that Kendall's rock rolled and the shot that Jamie had. So
Yeah.
chance here for Kendall to hide one behind the guards and try to generate two.
Yeah, and that was such a good call in the house from Kendall with that rock coming down to go get over beside the other one. They actually haven't thrown that shot yet, and we were seeing so many straight rocks curling towards the center out on those paths, and so it's not really a big surprise after the fact that that curled so much for Jamie. But you don't know that until you really throw it. You can only guess.
Yeah. 9 minutes may seem like a long practice, but it's not that long when you think about it. So you can't try everything, can't practice everything.
Yeah. So opportunity here for Kendall to come down and draw one in and really put some pressure on it. This looks heavy. Sweepers are right off.
He needs to put the brakes on here.
It really does.
It's interesting. I always call it the Helen no-no zone. And for people who don't know Helen Radford, she is my aunt. But when she would say, whatever you do, don't draw your rock in the back four. Like the back four, there's just this little tiny no-no zone. And it's where the other team can come and sit right on top of you. And so we see the sweep calls that if it's not top four, okay, let's bring it back a full rock length so that we can really get it back. That if they sit on top of us, we can then freeze to them.
Yeah, I mean, they've let Jamie off the hook here. A perfect draw from him, and there's no way to score. If that rock was 2 feet further back, then, you know, you might get forced, or you might have a tap off the side or something. But that rock is in the perfectly wrong spot. And it's tough because if it stopped 3 inches higher, it's okay. And
exactly.
they were probably just hoping it would stop, and you make a call, and you gotta deal with the call you make. But big sweep here to get it by.
You can hear the sweeping calls. The intensity is definitely high.
Yeah.
That was an incredible sweep, I have to say. Based on the time I got, hog to hog there was about a 15.2, and that was a very good drag from those sweepers.
Wow.
And nice shot.
15.2, that's quick. And we have seen very quick in the early ends of these games in the first half. And, you know, that was a full sweep. They never left that rock. Got by maybe an inch and got shot by probably less than that. So very well done from Scott and Phil to get that there. Now, it is on a little bit of an angle. You certainly can't access it from the intern side, but if you make this run back, you might be able to you can certainly get it off the button. Depending on exactly where you hit it, you might be able to get your 2. Early pickup from Michael. It's really close. Oh my
what a
God,
great
what a
shot
shot.
from Kendall.
Wow. Good shot from Kendall. Good shot. Good sweep from Michael.
I was going to say right before he threw it, I would want Kendall throwing this shot. You know, of a lot of throwers, you know, Jamie Murphy makes big shots, Kendall makes big shots. But I didn't want to jinx it, so I thought I'm just going to let it go and let him throw the rock. But that was a great shot, and really, you can see the look on Kendall's face as he comes down. I think that's that sense of confidence that we're here to play.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be a really good rest of the game.
Yeah. And of course, the line call from Bryce, very important there. Certainly looks good. Sometimes those are a little bit easy. Somebody is clearly narrow or clearly wide, or you know, it's fairly obvious. You look like a hero, but all you really did was panic and blow your lungs on it. But huge sweep from Michael to make that shot. And great throw from Kendall.
It's only the fourth end. We've had some great shots, and
We have. Yeah. And what a great job from Jamie. You know, he had such a bad outcome on his first one there. And, you know, he could have just, you know, take your lumps, hit the open rock, give up the two, but he knows that two's very important. He was confident with the draw, and he made it. And great job, Jamie.
And Michaels just slips in there, but Murphy calling the corner guard.
Yeah, I'd say both teams getting pretty comfortable at this point. So, you know, you really do want to get the two if you can. Trade ones for the whole game, and you're never going to get away from the other team. You know, play well in the last end, that's fine, but you really like to be up by then.
Some skip sweeping here. Not saying it's no good sweeping, it's just skip sweeping. You say, you guys, your arms, I need your arms later, so let me take this one.
Yeah, sometimes the skips are just cold too, or might be frustrated.
And it did look chilly this week. It looked, you know, the weather outside, it was cold as well, so it makes the ice shed colder, but you saw Alan O'Leary with his hood up a lot of the times, and a few players with hats, and I know Matt Manuel always looked fairly bundled up. So
now you always see Alan with his head up, of course. That's his.
That's his thing.
That's his thing. I mean, you also saw Danny Christensen with his short sleeves
with
out.
His T-shirt on, yeah.
Because that's his thing too. Yeah.
It just depends which T-shirt. Is it Grumpy? Is it the Pirate?
For sure. So the end's developing here. The corner guard didn't really get very far over. So Michael was able to throw his center guard down to guard his first stone in the top 12, but it also sort of blocks the corner guard. You can't get around that with the intern right now. So Jamie's looking at a variety of things, but he's going to need to deal with this middle a little bit if he wants to use the corner guard.
And really that corner guard, you know, over towards the D on the title sponsor, Deloitte, of course, but that D in the ice would be just that much more, kind of, it brings it over and allows you to play around it so that if Thompson played the tight center guard, you can get around it, like you said, but that's blocked off now, so different plan.
Oh. So he's called the kind of hack weight shot, hit what you can see, try and keep the shooter in the rings. You don't need to get the yellow out, but you can. More important to keep the blue there and force the play out away from those guards. Now Kendall he could draw, he could hit and roll. But again, tending to the safe shots here. These teams are trying not to risk unless it's, you know, a good opportunity or absolutely necessary. You draw around that center, yeah, you're sitting two and you've got a good rock behind center guards, but you're still on the second stone. There's so much end to come. There's so many run backs that will be thrown at that. It's unlikely to stay that way for the rest of the end. So hit this blue one while you've got the chance. You can still sit two off it. Ooh, almost.
Just a little rollout, not ideal, but Jamie Murphy not wasting any time.
No. The,
I say that, and then he changes his mind.
No. Well, they're talking too, right? That yellow rock back there could force them a bit, although it shouldn't come into play if they can get around those guards. But again, you can make the you can put yourself in a good spot with the hit and roll, and it is safer. You know the yellow rock is gone then.
I was at the junior provincials over the holidays, and I heard a coach say to a team, the other team can't score if the rocks aren't in the house. So kind of saying, and it was a very young junior team, but saying, okay, it's time to start hitting. They can't get multiple points if they don't have multiple rocks. And I thought, that is so simple, but it's very true. It's a lot less risky, and it's the right time in the game to play that shot. But getting the nose hit there, and Kendall not wasting any time either.
Well, and that's the risk, right? So you go for the hit and roll, and you nose anyway. Or nose instead. We throw so many nose hits in curling. It's automatic, and sometimes, it's a little bit hard to get that thing to roll. And then once you throw a couple down in a row, the spot starts to get straighter. So you see nose hit after nose hit. And, if you do want that rock behind those guards, the draw is the easiest and best way to get it there. So you do have to be careful.
As we hit, the rock's getting higher and higher in the house. Right, so how many hits can we run until that roll isn't as effective as the draw would be, essentially? So
yeah, of course. Now with the second hit there, it's high enough that they can roll in front of the tee line, which is nice. But they're still having trouble getting it to curl here. We have another nose hit.
And a fine line too. Some people watching at home may say, "We'll just take less ice." The path can be a little bit different, and it could really curl, right? So, and it's about finding that right path and the right line to not miss the shot or not roll out.
Of course. The other thing is that 3 rocks have gone down the exact same path now. So the 4th rock is going to want to follow that. Every single thing you do out here affects the surface. And so when you throw a couple shots down the same path, it tends to get straighter. It tends to get a little faster. That really works against you on these, hit and roll attempts. And here comes another one that doesn't look like it's going to get under.
And Chris trying to make it curl. And the rollout not ideal there. Murphy now has nothing to hit and has to, has the opportunity to play the draw.
Yeah, and that's what he was hoping for, of course. If you don't get it, maybe the other team rolls out eventually, and just be patient and wait for your time. And now he's got an opportunity. Some coaches will talk about, you're 4-on-3 now. He's got 4 rocks to throw, and Team Thompson only has 3. And so that's an opportunity to really drive it home.
Definitely. And back to your comment, Paul, about the ice and the surface. The ice makers, I have to say thank you to them and recognize them for the tireless effort that they put on here at the Dartmouth Curling Club all week. And just, night and day, all the time. Not a whole lot of rest for them. So Tracy and his team.
Yeah, Tracy Froud and his team, they've been working very hard. And, a lot of these, catch deals and things through the season, you start on a Thursday, you curl hard for 4 days. This event started on Monday. That's 7 days ago.
And today's Sunday for those weekend people who don't remember what day it is.
It's not just the 7 round robin games for the men's team. It was all the tiebreakers yesterday. It was all the round robin games for the women's event, which is going on as well. So they've done 3 draws a day for the whole week and the whole weekend, and it is a lot of work.
And so Paul's draw there coming a little short, and Bryce hit and roll over. So another opportunity for a draw here for Murphy to sink one behind the guard. Yeah.
And Paul's being careful there. You slip that deep, it's pretty bad. So he just, make sure you're not deep. He got it in the rings. It was enough that the other team did have to hit it. So you'll probably see him adjust a little bit on this one, and he gets to throw the same shot twice, which we always love to do.
And it does, sweepers look like they're going to go hard on this to get it to curl and get it to a nice spot, top 8 or top 4.
Yeah, he's definitely got more weight this time. But perfect shot.
And we were given a fun fact about Paul Fleming today. Before this game started, Bruce Lonis came up to me and told me that if Murphy were to win this game, this would be Paul Fleming's 8th win, which would pass coach Bruce Lonis for wins in the province. So
I'm sure he's still rooting for them.
yes, I think he is. Yeah, I would hope he is. But really awesome fact there from Bruce. And so that's Paul. You know, Paul got to throw the same shot twice. He's not missing it the second time. Paul's got that experience. He's been here before. He's throwing that extra bit of weight and a perfect shot.
But no over-adjustment. The sweepers still
Yep.
had to carry it down there and had the opportunity to place it. And so now Kendall will have to play the run back. Right on the nose, push this straight back. And you could leave yourself right behind the guard if you make it perfectly.
Kendall calling hard and Bryce on the sweep. It looks like it just over curled.
Yeah. That's that center line that I was talking about earlier. Once it goes there, it really goes, but you do have to wait for it to start. Fortunately, it did roll the shooter away, so the rock is open for Kendall's next one. He will be able to remove it. But Jamie's going to put another rock in before that, and Kendall's going to have to make a really nice shot to not give up 2 here.
Yeah, and I saw Jamie indicate a split, so really just trying to get some distance between his 2 rocks and pop them as close to behind cover under both guards as possible. He did tap around a lot, so I think that was the final tap.
So sometimes it's the B shot that they're,
Yep.
you know, if he's a little heavy on the draw,
Then we
you
do
can
this.
just bump it. But I think the concern, you're right, because if he comes right beside this stone, there's probably an easy double. But if he bumps it back out of the way and rolls behind the guard, then he won't have left the double and should get the 2. So, you know, really showing a lot of respect for Kendall's shot-making ability with the big weight there, and a lot of confidence, you know,
Definitely.
for himself to potentially group his own rocks by throwing them so close together. But made a very nice shot there, and really no double left at this point.
No, but opportunity to play that hit and roll on the back 4-foot blue and sit shot rock.
Yep.
The shot will still be there for 2 for Murphy, but it wouldn't be an easy one. So opportunity here for Kendall to apply some pressure.
Yeah, and pressure's on him too. I mean, he needs to remove this rock. That's the most important thing. You know, you will give up the odd 2, even when you're playing well. And against 2 teams like these, you're going to give up a 2 from time to time, of course. But there is a perfect place to roll to, so stay focused and make it as hard as you can on the other guy.
Michael trying to make it curl to get that roll. And a great shot was still available for Jamie Murphy, still available to go after for the 2, but nice shot from Kendall to apply some pressure.
We probably got it half, maybe a third underneath, and you know, it's good. It's in his eye. It's just like that.
Exactly. I was
that
going to
last
say the same
end.
thing.
Yeah, but it's available for Jamie. He just threw a similar shot. You know, come down and bump it out. You only need to bump it out of the 4-foot, really. But there's a range of weight you can take.
And that's where that experience comes into play. So, you know, stay calm, throw the right weight at the broom, and trust that you know the ice so that it will curl. And like you said, you just need to pop this yellow rock full back 8. That's it. You
Yep.
just need to get your 2.
Yep. And actually, with the right weight here, if you ever did curl up to the blue, but you're gentle, you still probably roll in for 1.
And you don't want to focus too much on that what if, but you have to. You know, you have to at least know what's my plan B if plan A doesn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, the thrower needs to be very focused on the shot they're playing. Everyone else needs to be very aware of everything else.
Sweeping this one hard.
Makes contact. Oh,
And great for the 2.
he just got that excellent line call from Paul to get the curl coming in there with the outside sweeper, and very nice too.
Yeah, so we're a score now of 3-1 for Murphy over Thompson going into the 5th end.
Yeah, and a very well curled game from all teams. Kendall made a very nice hit and roll to make that shot tough, and Jamie just looked at it and said, "I still got this. This
Yep.
is fine."
And so for Kendall Thompson with hammer here in the fifth end, a great opportunity to say, okay, let's get our two. You ultimately, if the blank is available, you could blank, but let's get our two, go into the fifth end, break tied. And it's a new game after that.
Yep. In fact, it's a new game starting exactly how this one did.
Yeah, exactly.
Tied with the hammer. And at this point, you're happy to get back there. Of course, you can blank it and take the hammer to 6. That's okay, too. Even end starts to get a little bit more important. But you're going to take your 2 when you can get it. If they see an opportunity, they'll want to have it.
Interesting, Bryce and Chris followed that rock up the sheet. And, to get a sense of the weight. And we've talked about that. Kelly Middlestat does that quite a bit. And it's such a great practice to do because we rely on stopwatches. Different teams do different times, whether it's, a split time or hog-to-hog time. But great to really get that feel. Nothing beats that of knowing with your eyes, what's that rock doing. So good on them to do that and say, no, we're going to make sure we know so that we can sweep Michael's rocks and rocks for the rest of the end perfectly.
Yeah, there's no point where you should really be checked out, and you can always be watching, always be learning more about the surface you're playing on. And sometimes when you're sweeping, or when you're throwing, or when you're calling the line, you don't have the luxury of really focusing on that one aspect of it, because you're listening for the call and you're trying to watch for debris to pick up out in front, and you're trying to make sure that the other guy doesn't knock you down, which I did to my poor lead earlier this week. But when the other team is throwing, you can just fully focus on that. Take the time, watch the rock come in, see how it's gliding, and so you might have to follow that rock. You might have to, pick up something that the other team is doing. And so you want to stay down and pay attention when you can.
Definitely. And it is starting to get busier here, Paul. So for those listening that are in the area, if you want to come down to the Dartmouth Curling Club, the bar is open. I always mention the bar.
Of course. We have coffee, I'm sure, too.
Yeah, I believe there are morning drinks as well, such as coffee and tea. But, viewing on the ice, behind the glass and downstairs and upstairs. So really lots of opportunities to watch. And huge thank you to the Dartmouth Curling Club for everything they've done this week, and the volunteers that have worked hard to put this event and the Scotties, same event, but 2 different competitions on all at the same time. So
it's the 2 biggest events in Nova Scotia curling, and they're combined into one thing. And so, Dartmouth Curling Club hosting this year for the 3rd year in a row. They just, with the volunteer team, they just work so hard, and they do such a good job of the event. And then, of course, we can't neglect and forget the sponsors that do make this possible. Deloitte is the title sponsor for the Tankard. They've been here for a number of years, certainly all of the years in Dartmouth, but I think before that, too. Huge thank you to Deloitte. And this stream is produced by 360 Live and powered by Bell Fiber. And I've certainly been watching it a lot this week. Playing the men's draws, so more the ladies' draws. Yeah. Usually lying down at home, maybe with an ice pack or something.
Recovering
for the next game.
I'm hoping my employer is not listening. I'm not going to say who I work for, but I have it on sometimes at work just to listen. So I'll put it on my phone and put my phone away and listen while I'm typing or while I'm doing something. Obviously not in meetings, so you can all stop judging me for that. But yeah, it's great, and great opportunity for people. I know the other night we were watching Team Manual, and Taylor Ardeal's grandfather was watching in Mexico.
Yeah.
Like, how cool is that, right?
You
just go, that's amazing that we're really hitting across Canada, but also different places around the world.
We've also usually got it on at the club in case in nights where the viewing has become crowded with so many people down to watch. Some people end up on the couches in front of the TV with it too.
I don't think they can listen to us, though.
Then what's the point?
So what's the point? Go home. Put it on your computer and listen to us. But back to our fifth end here. Murphy's team playing this shot to sit the 2, so a little bit of work here.
Yeah, so Kendall's got the corner guard. The middle opened up pretty much right away. And Murphy is sitting 2, but they're sort of on and behind the tee line. And Kendall just wanting to... He's still going for that safe 2. He'd be happy to blank this end, but he'll take the 2 if he can get it. So by coming down and freezing to this blue one, he's hoping that Murphy will be forced to remove his own rock, and then he'll get a chance to use the corner guard later in the end. This looks a little heavy, though.
Yeah, this rock looks like it's got some heat on it. Chris doesn't look happy with that rock.
Now, sweepers left it at the hog line. Not usually a good sign.
And I don't think there was anything there, Paul, that you could have done with that. I don't think you could have swept it to try to catch that one on the left or, come to it. I think that was just one of those unfortunate, just a little bit of extra weight.
You usually stay close to every rock, maybe with your broom down, clean it, make sure no debris gets into it. But sometimes when the rock's that heavy, you want the debris.
You want the debris, yeah.
And you're hoping to get a little lucky there. But
you want the debris from other games when you didn't want the debris to come now.
Exactly. But, yeah, just a little bit heavy. Chris has been throwing a lot of hits in this game. You have to remember your draw weight when the time comes. And that's actually one of the hardest parts about the second stone is you throw so many hits that you might be ends between your draws, and you have to stay sharp on that draw weight.
And that's a huge advantage to using your stopwatch and using times and practicing times and knowing, what a 14-second hug to hug feels like. And so that someone, when you're in the hack, can say, okay, you've thrown mostly 4 ends of hits. Let's just say that for Chris's sake. So throw a 14. And then Chris knows, okay, I know what a 14 is. But and maybe they did that, and we can always kind of, waver a little bit, but...
I'm sure they would have done that. Chris himself has been timing a ton of rocks, too.
Yes.
But, it's still that feel in your leg. You have it or you don't have it. And sometimes you just slip a bit.
That really curled up there at the end.
It did. So,
Great shot.
Unfazed. Team Murphy did slip a little bit deep on their guard attempt there, and so left Bryce the opportunity to hit it and stay in the rings. He's rolled over behind the corner guard, which is quite good, and he's sitting third shot, of course, but it's still pressure, and those other blue rocks are available to be hit. So, that's your 2 right there. If you can deal with the other blue rocks, and they've got 3 more shots to do that. So pressure's on a bit for Team Murphy. They've got to make sure that they make this guard that they're calling.
Sweeper's going hard. I think Phil trying to get it over there, get the rock over closer to center line to guard that rock in the 4-foot.
So slips it into the rings there for third shot, looks like, at the top, maybe second, but more importantly, it's out counting the yellow rock. But again, it's deeper in the rings, so Bryce can just hit this on the nose, and now he'll be sitting second and third. Of course, they'll be close together.
Yes.
But
Michael's sweeping to make it curl there. Really want to get 2 with that, but just gets the 1.
Yeah, holding the shooter too. Even if you drive it by like that, if you roll over into the top 8-foot, Team Murphy has to deal with it. It probably would have been second shot even, but because it didn't, Murphy is still sitting 2. One of them is back tee, but it's very close to the button. So he's just going to keep guarding and hoping that he can keep Kendall to the 1 point here by making him draw the pin at the end of this one.
Scott Zachary picked that one up pretty quickly.
Yeah, he's
There is that sense of reassurance when you've got two good sweepers. When you let go of a rock, you might think that's a little late, but I think these two can get it there.
Yeah. No, the teams have really upped their game on sweeping in general. At this level, at the top tour level,
Yes.
it's our equipment's worse actually. These special World Curling Federation approved heads with the trademark yellow that you see, they aren't very good. And the reason that we've had to do that and require that for all games in championship play is because the sweeping has gotten so good and the technique has gotten so good that if the sweepers are too good, that how you throw the rock sort of stops mattering. So
definitely.
We've got a good balance here. The sweepers can certainly carry the rock far, but it still rewards a good throw. You do have to be very close when you throw the rock, and then the sweepers can give you a little helping hand as they go down.
Kendall playing the port here.
No, that's tough. So if he can make this port, he'll almost certainly get the blue rock. And he'll be in a really good spot, actually.
That port looks very tiny to me from here.
It does. They're going hard to get it through.
Oh, my goodness. What a shot.
Wow.
A great shot from Kendall. Murphy can follow that rock down. He did just see the path.
You've just shown him the way.
But great shot from Kendall. That is a high-pressure shot for sure going into the end of this fifth.
And look what happens here. You've made that shot. If Jamie makes the port, he's going to be biting the forefoot. Kendall's not drawing the pin anymore. He's just getting half the forefoot.
That's a great point.
If Murphy ticks on any of these, Kendall hits the open rock at the back for three. Look how good that shot was.
And that's that confidence. I mean, we talk about, Jamie Murphy has the confidence. He's been there before. He's been in these finals before. He's won. He's been to the Brier. For Kendall, he's, Nova Scotia mixed champion. He was at the Canadians in 2018 and at juniors, and Kendall's very successful in his own right, but to show that level of confidence here in the provincial final is awesome.
Yeah, and what happens, you get to these events, and regardless of who it is, who was there in the week, what they've done before, it's this game, it's today, it's this week, right? It's who's better right now.
I think he's got this port.
He does.
That was very close. But a great shot there from Jamie Murphy.
Very, very good. He was much closer to the yellow rock going by. Kendall was more over to the blue. Doesn't really matter. As long as you get that port and get the rock out, you can breathe a huge sigh of relief.
I don't care how you get it there, just get it there.
Yeah.
And the Brier this year is in Kingston, Ontario.
It is. Yeah. That's what this is all about. It's a spot at the Brier in, I believe it's second week of March.
It's actually February 29th to March 8th. I had to look that up. I don't know these things. I let TSN tell me when they are.
There you go. That's that's correct. So
and the Scotties February 15th to 23rd, so there'll only be 1 week in between where there's no curling for us to watch. So that's okay.
Well, that's good. We can't have that. So Kendall just looking for a good piece of the forefoot. Sweeper's not on it.
I think it's one there for Jamie Murphy and a steal of one going into the fifth end.
Just slipped a little bit far. Those are, you're so disappointed that you didn't get the chance to get three there, right? And you made such a tough shot on your first one, but you really have to bring the same level of focus for the open one too.
Definitely. So the players will take a quick break and we'll be back with you in a few minutes, so stay tuned.
All right, welcome back to Sixth End action here in the 2020 Deloitte Tankard. We are watching Team Jamie Murphy and Team Kendall Thompson from Halifax. In this fight, Murphy currently leading 4-5. My name is Paul Dexter. I'm joined in the booth by Katarina Hackinson, although she's just on her way back after the break and will rejoin us in a moment. We've had some very good shot making so far in this road to the Briar in Kingston, so we're in the sixth end. We'll keep at it. Team Murphy with the slight lead here, not through any major issues from Team Kendall Thompson. He has made some very, very good shots to keep the team in and to stay there, but just slipped a little bit heavy on his last draw in the fifth end and gave up that steal of one. So with the hammer here in 6, he's going to need to generate some offense and get multiple points on the board to stay close enough to Team Murphy. And welcome back, Kat here. We have
Thank you, Paul.
Michael's got that corner guard up. Phil Crowell's first rock did slide to the back 8 foot. Often you'll see after the fifth end break, they take the mop and run it up and down the ice to scrape off any debris that might have accumulated during the first couple of ends, and that can cause it to be a little bit faster. Through this week, we've usually only seen that last a rock or two, and then it goes back to more or less what it's been. So Phil got caught there a little bit, but puts his second one top 8 foot, and it doesn't really matter yet. Kendall needs to get some guards up, so he's called 2 corners here. They're going to deal with the middle later, but they need to make sure they have this chance to generate some offense with the corner guards. So Michael put his first one pretty high. He's going to come around it actually with the second one and do the double corner guards over on this side of the sheet.
You want to create some separation here so that they can't be removed all at the same time. No double peels, so big for Michael Brophy, but rock's coming in here nicely.
Yeah. It's also important to get that second guard behind the top one, because those really high guards aren't very useful. The rocks curl enough with soft weight by the guards in the top of the house that you'd be able to get to a rock that was behind it, but with 2 of them there, Jamie will have to peel the top one first, and then the second one, it'll take 2 shots to open that up. Especially with them lined up like that, the double peel gets very difficult to not just leave all the rocks on the sheet. So good, really nice pair of guards there from Michael Brophy, perfectly placed by the sweepers. And Scott now is going to come down and guard the rock in the middle of the 4 foot. So just put a little pressure on, make sure that Kendall's got some work to do in the middle before he can use his corner guards.
And just during that very quick break, the intensity of the fans alone is enough. Downstairs, upstairs on the ice, everybody's so into the game, and those 2 shots between the port in the fifth end, people were talking about those the whole break. So it's really awesome, hence me being late, trying to run through the crowd, but people are enjoying it, right?
There's a great atmosphere down here at the Dartmouth Curling Club. So, if you're nearby, come on down, and if you're not, stay with the 2 of us, and we'll take you through the rest of this game.
Confirmation: the bar has coffee and tea, as we assumed, and also alcoholic beverages. So welcome for anything.
It's 10 o'clock. The bar is open.
10:20, even better.
Yeah. So Scott there didn't quite get fully guarding the stone, but he guarded the right side of it. Oh, wow. You see that rock just grabbed a little something and spun back really far. These the stones we're playing with are the Nova Scotia provincial stones, so they're owned by the NSCA. They travel around to all the provincial championship events, and so all the players know these stones fairly well. They actually textured them at the beginning of the week. So those sharp edges, they wear off through the week a little bit, but they are still there. And so, if it catches a little spot in the pebble maybe, or possibly a piece of debris, the rocks are primed to make that big move at the end. But anyway, Chris just rolled a little bit further than he wanted, didn't quite get the rock out over there, and so Scott's going to hit this and sit.
Just, try to nose that.
Sit 3. Yeah, but even still, that Kendall has opened up the 4-foot now. There are some guards in play he can use. He can probably even get to that shot stone through the port, and so he's just, you take your time. There's lots of rocks up there. He'll be able to get 2 or 3 here if he can get his rocks in the right place. So, game on for Kendall, and now it's just time to execute.
He's liking the ports today, isn't he?
He's seeing everything right now. So a little soft shot here through the port from Chris McRae.
Sweeper's close. It looks like it's coming in really nicely.
It's just taking the curl off the center right now. He's got to get by the top guard. And he is. Now he's got to get the rock out.
Great shot from Chris McRae.
Very good. Makes the port. It does leave the yellow in the port again. Of course, it's a little bit trickier now because the blues are both behind that rock.
Yes.
So he needs to. Jamie's going to need to make sure that he doesn't jam that at the back after making the port, which
very
is
much so. Very much so.
Which is no given, of course.
And the women's final is today at 2:30. And that is Team Colleen Jones against Team Marianne Arsenault.
There's so much history there, isn't there?
There is.
Yeah.
That will be a fun game. So, like Paul said, come on down, to the Dartmouth Curling Club and enjoy the atmosphere, or join online and watch the live stream.
Yeah.
But bound to be a very entertaining game.
Yeah. Colleen is playing with Kim Kelly, a longtime teammate, and of course they played with Marianne Arsenault back in the 2000s, and that amazing run at the Scotties. So Paul was just a little bit, I think, heavy, actually.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
It looked like a little bit more weight than was called, but just didn't get as much curl because of that. Took the top blue, really unlucky, rolled over and hit the other yellow.
Yeah.
That we talk a lot about the way to miss. And I was listening to Russ the other day, actually, and he's saying, you miss enough rocks, you start learning how to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's very true, and that was a really unfortunate outcome for Team Murphy, because if they'd over-curled it, you hit the other yellow, you hit it out, you roll into a usable spot with your shooter, but because of where they hit that, they actually promoted the Yellowstone into the rings, and it's just the absolute worst thing that could have happened to them. So, opportunity here for Kendall to protect those 2 rocks, and if he can do that for the rest of the end, he's set for 3 right now, which would bring us back to even. So, huge deal there for Kendall to execute, and Team Murphy, of course, has a couple of chances here to prevent it from happening, so they're going to do what they can.
I think he wanted that a little bit deeper, but still a great shot, still guarding the 2 yellow rocks in the house.
Yeah, this looks like the run back to me. Going to try and get things moving.
The backswing. I could not backswing if I tried. Break my back or break something else, I think.
Yeah, well, we didn't learn it.
Close.
So close. Yeah, you throw it for fun from time to time on a Tuesday night, but most of the players have definitely gone away from the backswing now, feeling that with the quick ice surfaces we play on, you can still get plenty of weight by just pushing out of the hack. Of course, Paul's been doing the backswing all his life, so don't change what's working really, really well for you for so many years. So, just drove it by, so Bryce is going to put a second guard on this. And you can see they're trying not to bring these too far. They know that they're going to be run back.
Yeah.
The closer to the rings that is, the the easier it's going to be for Team Murphy to get it out.
And it looks like because it did curl that little bit more and come a little bit deeper that Murphy's saying, okay, enough of this run back stuff. I'm going to freeze to it. I'm going to draw to it or bump it back a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you throw those run backs, they're a long way. If you're off by a quarter inch on the first rock, you don't get anything at the back. There's no B, there's no miss. And, if you just peel it out of there each time, Kendall's going to keep putting it back, and then on his last one, he's going to draw the middle for 3. So Jamie doesn't like where that's headed, so he's going to make a move here on his first run rather than desperately on his last one. And it does look just like the corner freeze, doesn't it?
I do think I saw him indicate, a potential bump, but that could be, if we're heavy, bump it back, sit here.
Yeah. He'd love to get one of these yellows out, but he just doesn't have much of them.
And really now, for Murphy, if he gives up 2 to Thompson, he'd love to give him 1, but if he gives him 2, that's okay. But no more than 2.
You still got the lead, yeah.
Yeah.
The 3 that he's been looking at is scary.
I do believe, it looks to me, Paul, I could be wrong. I've been wrong once or twice in my life before, but that yellow that Thompson is sitting the 2.
Yes, I think so. Jamie came down, got to the corner of it, and certainly it is still, I would say, 2 for Team Thompson. The trouble is, of course, for Kendall, that Jamie can see that blue rock now, and he can see enough of it to hit it into the yellows, and might even get both of them moving if he does. So the question now is, how do you protect your 3?
Yep.
That's potentially there, or your 2, which they'd still be happy with.
And Team Thompson did call the timeout here.
Yeah, they're going to talk about it. This is important. This is very important.
Yes.
Yeah. And so you see Kendall's just a gesture to what he feels that Murphy's going to do next. And I think the question is, will both of the yellows go? Because, if that's a hard shot, and it probably only gets one of them, you can draw over where Bryce has his broom right now, the side of the 4-foot, you'll still end up sitting 2, and you'll draw for your 3rd point. That's great. And then Chris probably with his broom there showing where Jamie might instead draw. And so you could maybe try and get there first.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you could probably put a guard up there too.
You really, Kendall, you want to get your 2. You'd love to get 4. You'd love to get 3, but let's say if I can get my 2, that's great.
Yeah.
And you bring this game a tiny bit closer. So I think that's the discussion right now is what is our best chance at a multiple score this end?
Yeah.
So for those wondering, Team Thompson does not have a coach listed, so their timeout, it's the 4 of them discussing, and Team Murphy has Bruce Lonis as their coach, who we may see later on for a timeout, but until then, he'll give us fun facts to share with you on it.
Yes, Team Thompson's been, the 4 of them are all, really into this game. They're students of the game, we would say, but they've taken it on themselves to take the responsibility for themselves to police each other and get to where they're going. And that works for some teams. Some teams prefer a coach. I'm sure they would have a coach at the Briar if they win this game, but through the season you're traveling, you're on the road a lot, you're going to be with just your team a lot anyway.
And they were coached for a long time by Reed Romke. So Reed, if you're listening out there,
yeah, that's
give you a shout out.
Oh no, everyone there has had a lot of experience with a lot of coaches. So here comes the draw. They're coming in. They really need to get it past these other yellow rocks so that they don't leave a double. That might be a little bit too high and too wide. They've left this little double for Jamie, or even just a hit and roll to the other rock that could take the whole end away. That needed to be further.
And sweepers were on it the majority of the way down at least, so.
Yeah, they did everything they could, but it's just not far enough. That's better. That could be better in the hack than where it is, unfortunately.
And so the shot is there, but Jamie Murphy does have to make it and does have to pay attention to that roll.
He's also got to keep an eye on the jam at the back, actually. If he overcurls the nose just a bit here, and he could pump it into that back 8 rock, and that would be a disaster for him, although his shooter might still roll to a good spot if he does it, so we'll see.
I'm throwing some solid hit weight here to try to get both of those yellows moving.
Yeah. Picked up by Phil, trying to keep it on the side of the rock. He does jam back there, but rolls over, sits 1 at the top, and pretty good shot on the corner. I don't know.
They did not hesitate to look at that top blue.
Yeah,
what do they see that I don't see?
Away. If you hit that blue thick into the other blue, it could spin out the side. Your shooter, I mean, hey, your shooter could go over and stop on the other blue rock, but...
And so you have enough of the blue to hit it thick? Because you'd need to throw some weight at this.
You definitely need to throw some weight at it. They definitely feel like they can. They've got some, certainly. If you just hit it straight into the yellow, it's not going to be very good. Kendall's gone down the sheet and had a look at from the other end, and he's coming back down, so that's not a great sign.
That's that look in the hack. Oh, I thought I had more. I thought it was different.
Yeah. He's thinking about it. I think the best, there's a lot of trouble with this because you hit it into the blue, it could go into your back yellow. Yep. That blue's probably hitting the other yellow on the way by. You could lose a lot of your own rocks. But when the dust settles, you might still have 2 of them there. If you're really lucky, 4 of them, but you're going to have to see. You don't like to look at a shot like this and not know for sure if it's there, so he's probably confident that it's there, and now it comes down to making it. Picked up right away by Chris. He's putting everything he's got into it.
Now the call to make it curl.
So he does get it moving a little bit, and it rolls down out of there. That's a good shot. Very good shot.
And that's for his 2.
They're going to have a look, but it does look like 2.
I'm calling it. I'm calling it now, folks. Everybody listening at home. And what a shot from Kendall Thompson.
Great shot. Great shot.
And that was nice. I mean, here I'm thinking, okay, throw a lot of weight, but that was really nice hit weight.
Winning number for the 50-50 is 500-8657. You come to the desk and pick up your prize.
Spill.
We'll let the 50-50 call before we continue.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah, so, had your sniff at the 3, but Kendall still made a really good shot there for 2. That puts them within a point of Jamie, so, excellent outcome for Kendall, and even for Team Murphy, they were looking at 3 for a while.
Yep.
Jamie made some good shots there, and they managed to hold on to just keeping the other team to 2, so sort of both teams probably feeling okay with that outcome.
And it's 4-3 for Jamie Murphy. We've got a really close game.
We certainly do. So it's offense time for Team Thompson here. They need to steal or force Team Murphy to 1. The force would actually be very good. You force here, you get your 2 and 8, that's tied. You force them in 9, get 2 and 10, and that's the win. So that's the easiest way at this stage. That's what they're going to try to do. Team Murphy would actually probably like to blank this end more than anything. Then they can put their 2 up in 8 perhaps, or even a 1, and they'd be feeling pretty comfortable into the last couple of ends. So
definitely.
they're probably not going to let this get too junky if they have anything to say about it, but we'll see if they have the choice. It's certainly developing well here. You've got that perfect center guard, and then Phil making the perfect draw around it. Kendall calling for Michael to freeze to the top of it, so here we go.
And Michael's had a very consistent game so far.
He has. The rocks have been in good places. Those 2 corner guards that he made last end, that really developed into that 3 that was sitting there.
And I mean, on the other end too, Phil, and the front end's very evenly matched this game from what I've seen.
Yeah. Well, and both teams are playing well. That's why they're in the final, right? Michael coming down. He just a tiny bit heavy there, rolled off. And I think that Phil's got nearly all of that rock. Maybe not quite. Just going to bump it back a little bit.
We'll phone a friend behind the sheet who has the skinny on what's going on. But it does look like with some soft weight he can get that out of there.
Yeah. Oh, and that's picked up right away. Scott is really leaning on this one to keep the line straight.
On and off, so good sign.
Yeah. Oh.
But that looks like it ran pretty straight, hey?
So, they're getting to that center line that's there. It's interesting, actually, because they called for so much early sweep. What you can do when you jump it like that is you just kind of pop it out into a different line. Ultimately, a wide line that did not lead where they wanted it to go. But, you can get fooled there a little bit. The other thing these teams have to start watching for is as you get late in that game, you play so much in the middle that the pebble wears down. Mm-hmm. And, that can cause the rock to curl a little bit more, but not usually in a really gradual way. It can be a bit more sudden as it kind of hits spots with less pebble. So, you don't want to leave that rock curling at the guard. So Jamie was being careful there, but a little too much.
Yeah.
Now, Chris comes down, rolls off it, and gets a second rock behind the guard. Sitting 2 in the 4-foot, right on the tee line.
And so Jamie calling probably some softer hit weight. I think he has most of the rock, but a little bit buried behind that center guard. Just to pop it out the back.
Nothing from the sweepers here. This one needs to curl. Paul's hopped on it late to try and bend it in there, but it's going to come up to nose. That's a pretty good outcome. They would have probably liked to flip under a little bit there, get in front of the second yellow rock. Kendall's really going to have the same shot to follow them down, but he's as he's indicating, he's trying to get that roll there so that he can use his guard a little bit more.
And so, Paul, here if we're Kendall Thompson, you're saying, I'd love to steal one, but I'm okay with giving you one.
Yeah, Kendall really wants somebody to get 1 point here. Mm-hmm. He's trying not to blank unless, it's give up 2 or blank. Then they'll take the blank. But you're really wanting to make sure that Jamie doesn't have the opportunity to get multiple points.
Right.
But you were talking earlier, you hit them out. The rocks you push out of the rings, they can't score with.
Yeah.
But, if they start hitting too much, you're going to see a blank go up. So they've actually decided not to hit this blue rock. They're going to draw down to the face of it, use that blue to try and keep their yellows in. So Chris is going to freeze to the inside corner of the blue stone. This is a patient call. That blue rock's in a good spot right now, but there's a lot of rocks to come. There's a good chance that it'll be pushed further and further back in the house as the end develops. So big sweep from Michael to get it by. They have
A little bit of extra weight, so just see that bump, but nice shot from Chris McRae.
Yeah.
And he gets it out the back.
I may have missed that call. That might have been the A plan, but I did think he tapped in front of it. They were probably just discussing options. So
Chris
now
was shaking his head, but I think he's just being hard on himself. I think that was a good shot.
Certainly interesting. So here we have, center guard on 2 yellow rocks in the 4-foot. That's trouble. So Jamie's had enough. He's gonna peel all. He's gonna try and get all of this out of there, and Scott's gonna throw some weight at it. Just good enough.
Yeah, not the outcome that they were looking for, but still opens it up completely. And so for Team Murphy with the hammer, it's open, and now Kendall, he is sitting the 2, but he has to guard that.
The unfortunate thing that they're shaking their heads on a little bit is that Scott actually removed their own rock. So there's very little chance at this point that, Kendall being aggressive will lead to Jamie getting an easy 2.
Yeah.
That's probably gone now. So a little unlucky, although they hit more of that blue than they did the yellow. He just clipped that to send it over to the side of the 8-foot. So they're lucky they got that at all. But good outcome from Scott. They're starting to work that 4-foot open. Now Bryce is guarding, but it's slipping a little bit deep.
So that does open up the opportunity for Jamie Murphy to throw some weight at this and get rid of some yellow stones.
Yeah, that's a real error there from Bryce, actually. He that rock could have been anywhere on that line in front of the rings, but when you slip it in, you make that double so easy. And Paul might even be able to hold the shooter in the rings if he makes this, so. A little bit unfortunate. They were looking at their watches after that one. It's possible that path is still a little bit quicker than they had thought.
Very much so. Phil sweeping hard.
Yeah, big sweep from Phil to hold the line, and he does. Gets the double and does hold the shooter on for a second shot.
And that's a nice shot from Paul Fleming.
And Kendall, you can see expressing a little bit of frustration, tapping his broom on the ice a little more hard than
Kendall?
he
What?
strictly
No.
needed to there. It's still not a bad situation for Kendall. They need to make their shots here, but
Chris is sweeping this one hard. This one looks like it either caught something or Bryce was maybe a little tight, but that's very unfortunate because it opens up the junior deuce potential for Murphy to split the house here.
I don't know if that picked or if Bryce is just a little tight on it, but
Scott Zachary was cleaning the path there. It wouldn't surprise me if they think there might have been a little pick.
Yeah, that's that is so unfortunate for Team Thompson. They were looking for the steal or the force so easily. Even if they'd made that one, you roll over, you try and get them spread nicely, and you get the force. That's still a great outcome for them in this end. Now they've given a very cheap 2, and Murphy's gonna do what he can to make them pay for that.
I don't think we'll see much hesitation from Kendall. Hit this one that's higher in the house and just try to roll over. Get as close to the other one as you can. Do you think he's going for the double?
Oh, he's definitely going for the double. There's enough spread there and enough height difference that he can get both of them out of there, which will save it. He'd be back in blank territory, of course,
but still not necessarily an easy shot.
No, certainly not. Of course, very important that he gets that first rock, and that's where the team has to keep talking. Bryce missed a shot there, but now Kendall's throwing in the same path, so you have to know why.
I think we're just going to get the nose on this one, if not a little bit of a rollout.
Yeah, just the nose, but it sits for second shot, so it's not really relevant even.
Yeah, and Murphy calling the draw to the back 8-foot there just to keep this rock in line with the rock that was just thrown.
Yeah, and Jamie doesn't really need to worry about that yellow, and even if he did want to hit it, you're going to leave it high in the house. Kendall will have another chance at the 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you never have as much control over your rock placement as when you're just throwing it there directly. So he's going to throw this down, put it even, right on the center line, or on the tee line probably.
Still
and
important.
Try and get his 2.
Focus on this and put that rock exactly where you want it so that double isn't available, because I don't think we're going to see Kendall. Kendall would be chomping at the bit to get that last little, or to his last rock to be a double and change the outcome of the end.
Yeah, well, he called that last one very quickly.
He did.
He shot out of the house to play it, but this looks a little bit heavy, I think.
I think it just hung on for second shot there.
It looks like it's second shot right now. But deep enough that Kendall does have the double this way.
And like you said on the first one, very important to make contact with that first rock and then go for the other one.
Yeah. It's interesting there. Both Jamie and Paul slid their draws probably 4 feet deeper than they wanted to leave these doubles available. And now if Kendall does make this double, he can probably sit 2. Big sweep though.
Big sweep for Michael. And just misses that double opportunity, so it'll be a draw full 8 foot for Jamie Murphy for the 2.
Yeah, and he gets to throw this down the same path he just played. Nice opportunity here to lock the draw weight in. Kendall, he very nearly had that double, just hit it a little bit too thin and rolled through the back. It actually looked for a moment there like they were worried about getting any of the rock at all.
That's what I was thinking too. I was a little nervous.
Yeah.
But Michael Brophy's sweeping.
He's a good sweeper?
Yeah, he held that rock.
He's a very good sweeper. Picked up right away by Phil and Scott.
Looks like a heavy clean.
Yeah, they're not killing it, but they really want to make sure that this doesn't hit anything on the way down. They're confident it's there, so they back away just a little bit more.
And a nice shot from Jamie Murphy to get his 2.
Yeah, very nice. And the Murphy side of the cheering section comes to life there a little bit. They've been quiet for a while, actually.
They have the Thompson side a little quiet right now, but I think we'll see that pick up in this next end.
Yeah.
So 6-3 for Jamie Murphy. Kendall Thompson with the hammer in the 8th end. And it's time to get some rocks in play.
Yeah, we're really in the same position we were in 2 ends ago, but now there's less time left.
Yeah.
For Team Murphy, you don't have to survive as long. And for Team Thompson, you are running out of ends to,
you don't have as much time
to even this score. Yeah. Both teams do seem to be struggling a little bit with the draw weight right now. The draw from the guard from Bryce that slipped into the rings was really the turn in that end.
It was.
Then, with both Jamie and Paul slipping deep on their draws, now they were a little bit luckier. They didn't get burned for it, but just the sheet changes through the game, and as I said, that middle can get a little bit sloppy. So you have to pay attention to where you're throwing the rock. Paul and Jamie were both going to the wings, so you start in the slower path, but as it goes down the sheet, it gets into good pebble on the edges. Bryce, gets he's in the good pebble all the way to maybe the guard zone coming in, so it carried better. If he had thrown 2 inches more, 2 inches narrower, his rock probably stops. But
And really that'll be the team that can hold on to that draw weight and maintain great draw weight for the rest of the game, we'll be at an advantage. So important to get that under wraps and really use your sweepers. How many times do we say that as curlers? Use your sweepers. They're there for a reason. Their arms might be tired.
Yep. And you're right. All 3 of those rocks were heavy, as it turned out, right? So the players know about the paths. They know about the middle. Like, we've been playing on this surface all week. It's been very consistent game to game. So they will, they will be talking about that. But you get in the final, you get a little bit tight. You have to keep talking.
Yes.
And you did see after Bryce missed his guard and it slipped in, they weren't giving up 2 at that point. It was the flash afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
And nobody was talking in between those 2 shots. No. And that really is rough. Your teammate misses a shot and that sucks, and you kind of want to take them outside.
Yeah, listen here.
Yeah, but you gotta pick them up. They're there with you. They're trying. Everybody's trying. You gotta make your next one, and that's you always have to look forward on those and just make the next one. The one you've thrown is done.
And really, when you've missed a shot or teammates missed a shot, it's so important to stay positive. And we say that all the time, and it seems so simple, but so Bryce missed his shot. He could have very well gone down to Kendall and been really upset that he missed it. And I can't believe I did that. But it's so important in his role, and we don't know because we weren't there. I'm assuming, knowing Bryce, I'm assuming he went down and was supportive for Kendall and was very positive about it. And that's really what's needed. And we all miss shots. We don't try to miss shots, though. So
of course.
Important to kind of keep that, especially where we're in the last 3 ends of this game.
Yeah. So here we're developing through. Michael put up his 2 corner guards. They look closer than they were in the 6th, but they're there and they're in front of each other. And, that'll be a good place to put a rock later in the end. Phil's got both of his rocks on the top of the house and a center guard on them. So Kendall does need to make a play in here. You don't need 3. You'd love to get it. But that's a decision you make later much later in the end. He's just going for 2 now, and that means he needs to get that rock out of the 4-foot.
This rock looks like it is coming close to that center line, a little bit faster than they'd like it to, but sweepers are still hard on it. Bryce is really leaning into this one, trying to get it by this top, but it will just kiss it.
Yeah, kiss it over and rolls off a little bit. Doesn't really get it out of the center. But the back rock is fully available for them now. And for Team Murphy, for Scott, it's just, he's gonna hit this, obviously. They're not gonna leave that rock there, but what they're talking about is, they don't want to nose it. They want to get a little more out of the shot if they can.
Absolutely.
So they're gonna hit it a little on the center line side and push the rock that's currently biting the side of the button back behind the guards.
And a nice
shot. Just like that.
Scott Zachary's played great today, and that focus there of making those shots and also sweeping his heart out.
Yeah, it is. So one of the nice things about playing front end is a good way to deal with those nerves is just to sweep really hard.
Yes. And so we saw Bryce come down here to talk to Kendall a little bit just to say, okay, make sure we're on the same page. He can communicate any information back to Chris and Michael. But I think we're seeing a freeze here, Paul.
It looks like he's just going to kind of bring it down into the pocket. You could bump a little bit, but you want to make sure the yellow rock can't be removed. There's a nice B shot on the side, too. If he's a little heavy, he can come in off the rock that Scott just threw.
A little kiss and roll.
Yeah.
Or flop, I guess.
And that's just what he's got.
Great
so
shot.
Come over and sits up on the corner. Team Murphy is still shot right now, but that yellow rock is very well placed to be shot later. Great shot from Chris.
You can see in the stands, one set of bleachers, the bells go and the cheering, and then the next shot, the next bleacher goes, but they're quiet and loud, and they keep alternating. So it's very clear where to sit if you're a Team Murphy fan or a Team Thompson fan on the ice. But awesome that there are people out there cheering and supporting, and not just people like me hooting and hollering behind the glass.
Yeah, there's an ever-growing cheering section here at the Dartmouth Curling Club. It's great.
It is getting busier and busier as the ends go on, which is great.
All right, so that yellow rock's really not going anywhere. So rather than try something aggressive that could just leave Kendall sitting one in the middle with nothing else going on and heading for his corners, Jamie's decided to come down and just freeze on top of it. And you're sort of saying at that point, well, you know, let's get a couple of rocks in and around the button. It's hard to fit your two yellows in there, so just you know, junk it up, keep it in the middle, make the other team make the first move.
What a nice shot from Paul Fleming.
It did hang out a little bit. They were trying to make it curl at the end there. He would have liked to be on the nose of that or staggered to the other side. I think
little bit more curl.
Yeah, I think if Bryce hits this right on the nose or even a little bit inside nose, the yellow goes back to the blue and doesn't go anywhere. The shooter sort of stays in the top 4 foot, and I think the one Paul threw will kick out sideways a little bit.
It seems like I could be lip reading incorrectly, but it seems like they're looking at, okay, do we play something more weight or do we play less weight? Are we tapping or are we trying to move around some rocks?
Yeah, you know, there's a big difference in where the rock goes to throwing T-line weight or back line or hack, and so it's got to be on the same page. But, they're just coming down with a little bit of a tap here. Michael's going to help it curl.
And it doesn't look like maybe back 8 weight there, Paul.
Yep.
Just enough to tap it up.
I think he's just trying to push the yellow back towards the blue again.
And
leave
that
the
just
shooter up in a
kissed-
good spot.
That kissed that guard there, just the tiniest bit. We don't have the replay, but coming in, it just kissed it over a tiny bit and redirected. Nothing major, but it really started to curl, like you said, when it got to that center line.
Yeah. So, you know, Kendall's now sitting shot, which is good. He's got some backing and a bunch of guards out front. The only way Jamie can really get to that rock at all is on this out-turn side that he's looking at. And he, you know, those higher rocks that Phil put in the rings earlier in the end, they really give him options. You know, Jamie can always push those up, run them into good things going on for the opponents on the button. And so he's going to try and curl by the guard a bit and maybe push that off if he can.
Yeah,
Maybe.
A few different options here. And timeout.
Yeah.
So we'll see Bruce Lonis go down to chat with Team Murphy.
Yeah. The whole team's coming down to have a discussion, of course. Everybody gets a say. Especially the front end players, you don't want to get too involved down at the other end. It slows the game down and can sometimes throw your skip off a little bit. But you know, you get a couple of moments through the game where just everything is so important to get the right call, and everybody's got a lot of experience. Everybody understands the game really well. So, you know, everybody's going to come down and have a discussion about exactly what they want to do.
Absolutely. Paul looks like he's deep in thought there, taking a look at the options before he goes to talk to Coach Bruce.
He's the one who's going to be throwing it, of course, right?
Yeah.
So he's probably picturing what happens when his rock goes down and what it'll look like afterwards. They're talking about that run back, which, you know, you could throw that down and probably get a lot of yellows moving, but you got to be very careful because you're going to have a lot of blues moving too.
That's what I was thinking. You could absolutely get some blues moving that you don't want to move as well, so you never know.
Back to our earlier comments about playing the other team's shot for them.
Yes, point.
There's places you could drive that blue rock where only blue rocks leave the rings.
And yellow sit pretty behind something protected, so.
I think that the big question for them right now is, yes, Kendall's got one. Murphy's okay with that.
Absolutely.
They forced to one. They've got the hammer and a 2-point lead in the ninth end. That's a very good way to approach the end of it. They'll try to steal if they can, of course, but one is totally fine. And the question is how Kendall's getting two right now, and he's probably tapping the yellow up. But that's not an easy shot. So here I think they feel like they can still make this play and safely get the steal back in play even, potentially. I don't know. I think you put a guard up there. Let the guy have his one.
Just let the guy have his one. Looks like some solid hit weight coming down here for Paul. Looking to remove that yellow.
Picked up by Phil early. He swept it over off the line, and it's running a little on them. Nice and close to the guard. What a great shot.
And then a great shot by Paul.
Yeah. So he does get the rock off the button. Team Murphy now is sitting two, but some of those blue rocks moved as well. The shooter rolled out, if Kendall can get each of those blues out of there, he's got a couple of points in his pocket. And his top yellow is still right behind a guard and very difficult to remove. So it's a question of whether he can get to the one on the forefoot, I think, and where his shooter goes if he does, and if it jams at the back and all of that. But
and it really is, what can he see of this top 4-foot blue?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to flirt with the yellow there either. You want to leave that yellow where it is, right? So he can see enough of the blue, but you want to play this carefully. This is a perfect opportunity on Bryce's last rock to set something up for Kendall to get a multiple point end.
Yeah, keeping in mind for Team Thompson that if they gave up a steal here, that's pretty much the end of the game. So,
it's hard to come back, for sure.
Well, a 4-point deficit with only 2 ends to play against a team playing as well as Team Murphy is, you cannot allow the other team to get the steal here. So, there's a lot of rocks in the middle. There's a center guard out front. The steal is very much in play. So they do to be careful while they're taking their risks to get multiple points.
It'll be interesting to see with the shooter here, Paul, what ends up happening.
Yeah, they're going for the double. They're not really planning to keep the shooter.
And
although,
hey, wait! I called it, folks. Said to watch the shooter, but
that's right.
I mean, he is sitting second, third, and fourth, and so Murphy's saying, "I'm going to get rid of those two at the back because I don't want to."
Yeah, and you see Bryce with a big grin on his face. That wasn't the A shot, but hey. Kendall knew that was there and knew that was an option. They would have liked to get the rock off the back four, but this puts a big end in play, and so Jamie's going to come down and play the double in the back and make sure that it's not 3 or 4.
Because that blue back four is very accessible on the outturn side for Kendall. He can come. I mean, it is a port, but it's at least a wider port than seen throughout this game. But
they've had worse.
Yeah, exactly. But still an opportunity for Kendall.
Yeah. No, I think that's pretty good. And in fact, Kendall probably on the other blue could roll over. So Jamie quite getting the double there, but keeps his shooter, which pretty much accomplishes the same thing. That back yellow rock can't really score now unless Team Murphy makes a serious mistake with their final stone. But Kendall should be able to maybe nose it right there or even roll behind the corners. I think they've called to stay there in the middle.
Important for Team Thompson to focus on that too. Of course, more would be lovely. He'd love to get 3 right now. But that's what this call is saying, okay, we really need to set ourselves up to get the deuce. Then you're only 1 down.
Yeah, I mean, the pure shot too is probably to roll open. If he noses this, you could see Jamie play the freeze. I don't know if you would, because it brings a much larger end into play if he makes a mistake. But, Kendall wants him to be playing something that's difficult.
And like we said, the other team can't get rocks. Or can't get points if their rocks aren't in the
They're really
house.
going to get this by. Get enough weight
I think it's
to
coming
get it
in
out.
nicely.
Yeah.
And just sits there back 8, but does leave Kendall Thompson sitting the 2.
Yep.
And now Paulsy, if he planned to roll, I know the jam is there, it's not horrible, but is Murphy planning to hit this, sit there, and say, I'm going to give you an open hit for 2?
He'd love to roll under, actually. You can't be too cute with the guards.
No.
If you pick that top blue, it's a lot of yellows coming on the board.
Yes.
But if they can just, even if they knows that it's pretty good, you've kept them to 2 and you're still in control. But if they could roll under a little bit, they could really put the pressure on. So, Paul's going to try that.
And he did just see Kendall's rock here in very similar weight. Maybe a little bit more weight, but...
Yeah, well, he wants to remove the yellow, but Scott's sweeping on the outside of this, trying to make it curl, and look at it
And
curl.
did he ever make it
Wow.
curl? Holy smokes. Great shot.
And so now the question is, Bryce is looking at the circus shot back there. The trouble, I think, with the blue, Kendall's going to look at it the same shot he just played, of course, but the blue got a little bit underneath, and I don't think he can get to quite. It's probably likely that it's just always going to jam.
Oh, the
And if
circus shot, Paul.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
That's okay.
They're looking at this circus shot. I thought, oh no, Paul's joking. There's no circus shot. And then I realized that blue one back there, and they're very seriously considering it.
So what we're referring to by the circus shot, it's not an easy shot by any stretch, but if you hit maybe a thick half of that blue rock on the side of the 8-foot, you roll over, hit the one at the back 8, and then up and push the blue and the button out the top. That's a tough shot.
Electing to avoid the circus today.
Yes. It's desperate, and a lot of the time you throw that, you're probably giving up a steal of 1, which, as we discussed, is really the end of it all.
Yeah.
So Kendall's electing instead to play a little tap on his yellow. I don't think this is for 2. I think that for 1, just bump it up to the button and take your 1, because that back 8-foot blue is going to outcount the shooter after he throws this.
And Chris called the weight right out of Kendall's hand, which is great communication.
Yeah. Big sweep.
And I say it looks like to me that it's curling, but I'm on an angle, so...
Oh, very close by that top one. Makes the
tap there, and I believe it's just for the 1, but we will confirm.
about as well as he could have made that. He got as much curl as possible with that quiet weight, just enough to push it through. They're having a good look here. You see this time Paul standing back, but probably suggests that he thinks it's blue.
And I think Bryce just called there for the measure. This is such a big game, and we're into the 8th end. Even if there's a tiny bit of doubt, the tiniest bit, just measure.
Yeah, you could really feel the pressure in that shot as it was coming down the ice. First it was hard everything, probably weight, and then hard everything for line to keep it straight, and then hard everything for Michael to make it curl at the end.
And you saw Bryce stand up and even lean into it a bit, and it's just that the intensity has picked up. It's the 8th end of the men's provincial final.
Yeah. No, very much.
Not to say that Wednesday night league play isn't just as intense for Kendall's team, but I know when we've played against them this year, it's not usually this close by the 8th end. So. We'll see Bryce smiling out there.
And so, like, coming back to Kendall's first one there, he elected to keep his shooter close to the middle, which did make that shot available to Jamie.
Very much so.
If he'd rolled another foot, it gets a little bit... It gets a little bit further away from the center, harder for Jamie to roll in for shot. Kendall still made a very nice one on his last one, but it's not for two.
No.
And when they spun the stick around, he almost broke the thing off. It was so different between the two rocks.
It was indeed, just for the one.
It was blue by probably an inch.
So the score now is 6-4 for Jamie Murphy playing the ninth end, and Murphy will have hammer. So it is time to steal if you are Kendall Thompson.
Yeah, down three is possible now that we've got the 5 rock rule with hammer. So if Team Thompson can get the force together here, that's doable. But it's probably easier to steal a single point twice.
Steal.
Yeah. No, 3 times. That's right. We'll have to have the extra end here. But so Michael's put the center guard up. He's going to be throwing those for the rest of the game potentially. And has been asked to come in.
And here, this is about focus. This is every player, you should be focusing the whole game, but really this is where the trophy may come into sight a little bit more. Just the intensity's picking up, and you just need to throw the right weight at the broom with the right turn.
Yeah, this is where practice and spending time, especially in pressure games, really does pay off. You know how your body reacts to it. You know what you have to do to stay sharp and play as you've played all week. So here comes Phil. Got the rock around, slipped to the tee line. That's a little deeper than he would have wanted it.
Yeah.
They were almost looking at maybe accidentally getting the tick shot out of it halfway down, but. Michael's now going to put a second guard on. They're going hard to get it by.
And they want to get that separation. They don't want them too close because Scott Zachary is probably one of the best in the province for that, for getting rid of both of them at the same time in that double peel. So.
Yeah.
But great shot. 2 great shots from Michael Brophy.
Yep. And Phil's going to come down here and just draw another one in on top. You can put this, just top 4, biting the top 4 kind of thing. Then sure, you've got your guards, but where are you putting your rocks? There's blue ones in the way.
Exactly.
You just saw that take a very sharp move as it went over the line.
It's really moving in there, but it looks like it's just about the same weight, Paul.
Nope.
That it's beautiful top 4 weight.
Yeah, that's a very good shot. Both of those rocks, though, a little on the deep side. Kendall's going to be bumping them back later. He's just calling the freeze for now, but he's just those rocks slowly back through the house until they're backing for him. And hopefully for Team Thompson, they'll have some guards left at the end of that. But Scott's eyeing those 2 center guards right now. I don't think they're here for too much longer.
And this really is a setup shot. Like you said, this is get a yellow rock in front of those blues so that you can use them later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great shot from Chris McRae.
Yeah, that's pretty well perfect. It's not anywhere for now, and there's nothing really that Team Murphy can do about that in the rings at the moment, so they're just going to start getting the guards off.
And Phil hard on the sweep.
That curled a ton. That's the same place, I think it was 4 ends ago, that he had jammed on the overcurl on that outturn in the exact same place.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great...
Yeah. No, it was actually 2 ends ago. That was the 7th when he got 2. So part of a great memory. But...
I call that the Kaylee McLean memory.
Yeah.
Kaylee can remember... Do you remember, in Liverpool in the icebreaker when we were 14, and I said I don't remember being 14 at all. So Kaylee is my guru, and she remembers all things for me, which is wonderful.
Yeah, well, she's been well trained.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Just a little bit of experience in that family.
Yeah. So Scott only getting the one guard, which is a sigh of relief for Team Thompson. And Chris is going to try and put another one up nice and high above it. You know, they're going to make a play in the middle in the house at some point, but it's way too early to do that now. They need to make sure that there's not too many rocks left for Team Murphy when they make their move.
A little deeper than he would have liked. Really opens up that heel for Scott Zachary.
Yeah, you don't need to be good at double peels to make this one. This is really just a single peel, and the second rock's going to go away too. Very unfortunate. You know, it's interesting. We expect to be precise foot or two on the draws in the rings, but you have to do the same thing with a guard.
Scott threw his hand up. He wasn't happy with that one when he let it go. I don't know if he felt that it jumped in the ice, but he wasn't planning on leaving that rock there, that's for sure.
That's a huge error. Very lucky for Team Thompson on that. I'm not sure if it picked or if he just maybe got it going a bit. Both of those rocks right down the center line, right down the slide path, right down the place on the sheet with the least pebble late in the game here. And so, you know, they'll curl more generally. And it's tough because if you take more ice, they may not curl at all because they might be in good pebble. So definitely not happy about that one.
But now is opportunity for Team Thompson to, you have to get your rocks in the right place now. You had that, you know, that tiny bit of a miss there, that rock that's still in the tight guard position, and so now Bryce really needs to make a good one.
Yeah, they're lucky to be alive off that, so they've decided it's time to make the move in the rings. Just tapping, still tapping, working those blues back. Very nice shot.
Nice shot from Bryce Everest.
So, he did the shooter exposed, so I think Paul might have enough of that to get it out. Might even have enough to get it out off the yellow, but it's going to lose some blues too, most likely.
And Paul going down to chat with Jamie. Really get a sense of what shot they want to play, and seems pretty confident back down.
Yeah, I think he wanted to see if he could nut it right on the blue that's on the top of the button, because that would be just disastrous.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have as much of it. It'll hit it and roll off the side if that's where he goes, so it's okay. As long as he makes contact with this yellow, it should go out of the ring.
A lot of weight coming down on this one.
Yeah, nothing from the sweepers. So, he did stuff it a bit. It rolled open. It's a good shot over there, but it didn't get out of the rings. So I guess he could jam that a little bit more directly.
Team Murphy fans were a little quiet on that one.
Yeah.
I think the intensity, we forget how invested families and spouses and loved ones, you know, that a curling season is a lot of work. You know, the travel and the dedication, the practice. Team Murphy practices every Wednesday night. I play at Halifax Curling Club, and they're there, and Team Thompson plays in the same league. So, you know, it is time away from home and time away from family.
You probably, I mean, these teams would have each played 6 or 7 events, I think. That's a lot of weekends, many of them away from Halifax. You know, it's money to travel and hotels and enter the spiels. It's a ton of time. You know, they might, you know, have a standing practice or a standing league game, but most of these players are on the ice almost every day, even to just, you know, throw rocks for 30 minutes at lunch. And it is a lot of work. It's a big commitment, and the families, many of the families are also curling families and might have their own things going on, but it's definitely a big road. And so their supporters are out there and pulling for them, and they know how much this means to all the players.
And it is, you know, it's when we look out we see Kendall's parents and Selena and his sister and friends. And when you look at Murphy's side, and on Kendall's side also, Britt, when you look at Murphy's bleacher there, a lot of them wives and parents and friends. And so it is a huge commitment.
Yeah, so Bryce was asked just to come down and tap that yellow onto the back blue, and it just over curled a little bit. He had plenty of weight for the shot he called, but touches the guard and rolls into the side of the eighth. That's a tough error there, because Jamie's going to be able to make either double, really. Get the yellow one off the top of the forefoot and get 2 yellows out of the rings if he makes the shot. But it's not all curtains for Thompson here either. The center guard's still up there, going to be up there after this shot.
Absolutely.
And there's yellows in the rings. So worst case scenario, you force and you're down 3 with hammer. That is alive.
It is alive for sure.
Yeah. And
I think I'd rather try to steal one.
Oh, yes. But he had a chance for 3 in the 8th, and he had a chance for 3 in the 6th, right?
So he can,
They can develop that, definitely. And here, Jamie's got to be careful. If he doesn't get the second rock, it's not very good. Paul, I should say.
So this one looks like it is running fairly straight. Really, second one if you're Team Murphy.
Not a bad shot. Sort of working the yellow out the side a bit, but
Still a little bit of trouble.
There's a little bit of trouble here for Team Murphy. There's a couple of blues. If Kendall can bump that top a little bit and keep his shooter in front of it all, it's going to be very difficult to remove.
And this is a big shot here for Kendall Thompson.
Yeah. And he really, it's a patience thing. Yes, Murphy's been shot for basically the whole end here, but that doesn't matter. Kendall only needs to be shot after this rock.
Exactly.
So, he's just slowly developing it so that he can set this up. He's going to push this blue one back, make a pocket at the back, and then draw in with his last one.
Sweeper's on this one right out of his hand, but Michael both looking up,
Yeah.
communicating. And
They just lost Bryce's on this line, right? They need to make sure they get by the guard, and this one's diving for it as well.
I think they have
get
it, Paul.
by. They do.
Still got to go. It's still curling quite a bit, and they want to get that blue rock as far back as they can. That hit and roll that Jamie is indicating right now is there, and then Kendall's got a bit of a shot.
Then he's in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kendall did a really nice job there of pushing that rock back behind the tee line. If he can ever get one on the face of it, right on the button shot, he'll have backing. There'll be guards in front. There is a perfect place for him to put a rock right now. But Jamie knows that. Jamie's going to try and get there first, of course.
Big shot here for Jamie Murphy.
Yeah.
And there's that spot that curled
It's
for
getting
both
in.
Bryce and Kendall, but
Yeah. It's really close here.
the level just went up
Yep.
times 100 out there, I think, in that one shot.
So they actually probably overswept that a little bit. He probably would have liked to roll in a little bit more. That if Kendall gets a rock on the other things.
And Paul, did you see? I can guess what I think he's playing, but did you see the call? Is he trying to tap his yellow in? Is he trying to get rid of that blue that they just threw?
He must be tapping the yellow up. The ice actually looks like he's throwing the hit on the blues, but that would be madness.
Yeah, absolute madness. I don't think he could get rid of all 3 of them anyway, so.
Yeah. I think he could make this with the out-turn draw as well, but he just played this shot, so it probably, he's comfortable with the path, and if he can just tap this yellow up right to the button.
So we have seen this path. Look like they're trying to make it curl.
I think he's heavy.
And unfortunately, that is not the outcome that Kendall would have liked there.
That's a disaster.
And that is an
Unfortunately.
open draw for 4 points.
Yeah, Murphy's now sitting 4. He's got a pile of rocks to throw it into. You want to take a deep breath on this one because your mind just immediately said, "Oh my God, we've won." But
Yeah.
make your shot first, and then let your mind go. Kendall there just a little bit heavy, so it ran too straight. Jamie Murphy with a chance at 4.
And really, the way that end played out is not necessarily, I would not have thought a 4 was coming out of that, but it's just the game of curling.
And these things happen if you're Team Thompson. You know, you had to be aggressive to stay in it, and sometimes this is what happens when it doesn't quite work.
And that is 4 points for Jamie Murphy, and that is the game. So Team Jamie Murphy are your 2020 Dolphins and will be representing Nova Scotia at the Brier in Kingston, Ontario. And we have to say a great game to Team Kendall Thompson. They played so well, put their heart and soul into it, and just not the outcome they would have liked. But we have another final today, Paul.
We do. 2:30, check back at the Dartmouth Curling Club line with 360 Live, powered by Bell Fiber. And we have history in the making there, too, with Colleen Jones playing Marianne Arsenault in the final on the Scotties on the women's side. But here we want to say a last thank you to Deloitte, our title partner, to the Dartmouth Curling Club for hosting us all week these past 3 years. And thank you very much, Kat.
Yeah, thanks, Paul.
And we'll sign off, but come on down to the women's game or check us out online at 2:30.